As Anthony's going to throw on first down. He wants to go deep. Pretty good coverage. And the pass is caught. And it's Wires. And Wires is going to score on the first play of the game. He outreached the defender, McCreary. And Carson Wires has a touchdown for the Trojans. It's 6-0 right off the bat.
Live on the Westmoreland Sports Network. This is Westmoreland on the Gridiron, powered by Bowser. Here's your hosts, Sean Myers and Dan Flickinger.
And welcome into another episode of Westmoreland on the Gridiron here on WSN. Sean Myers, Dan Flickinger, of course, as always with you Wednesdays at 7 p.m. And Flick, we've got a big show to get to. This is the first time I've ever said that.
I was going to say, we seem to always have a big show, but it's true, we do.
I wouldn't lie to you. We're going to run down all the scores from Week 7 as well as the top performers. We will have plays of the week. We're going to hear from Scott Breyer, the head coach of the Bell Vernon area Leopards, coming off of his second career W, guiding BVA. Max Doherty is our Westmoreland Sports Network Player of the Week, representing Derry area. What a great season he has had for the Trojans. And we will have a look ahead at the penultimate week of the regular season with the Week 8 preview. But rewinding to this past Friday, we had some big stories, including that same undefeated team, the Southmoreland Scotties. They are one of, I believe, just 7 or 8 in the entire WPIAL. They've been the only one in Westmoreland County for a few weeks now, and they had to earn it against Mount Pleasant. They won a low-scoring affair, 14-0 in that rivalry matchup. You had the call. I know it was an awesome atmosphere, and ultimately it was probably kind of an ugly victory, but you still take that if you're the Scotties. They played some really good defense, certainly.
Yeah, I think that's something that they like. I mean, obviously you want to score more, you want to do some more pretty things on offense, but they like those ugly wins too. And you mentioned the atmosphere. First of all, I want to talk about that because when I pulled in to the parking lot at around 5 o'clock, kickoffs at 7 o'clock, there was a huge line of people in the parking lot, like wrapping around like snake style, around cars. And it was insane. They opened the gates at around, I think, 5:15, 5:20 to start letting people in. They had to stop ticket sales at one point, the pre-sale ticket sales. It was standing room only. So we had to make sure we had our tripod set up for Chris and get ready for the game. But, it was absolutely crazy, the atmosphere. It's what high school football is all about. This is why we do this. And it was really cool to see Mount Pleasant and Southmoreland. In terms of the game, as I mentioned in my my post-game piece, it was crazy because it looked like it was going to be a high-scoring game at the beginning. I mean, Cam Lee returns the opening kickoff for a touchdown after he bobbled the kickoff, ran it back 80-plus yards for a touchdown, and then...
You know what I think happens a lot?
What happens?
When a guy bobbles a kickoff or a punt, it actually seems like it works to their advantage sometimes if they can get past that very first guy that comes at them.
Yeah,
because
I think
it seems like the coverage almost kind of changes. Maybe they're anticipating we can come up with a fumble recovery and they maybe lose a little integrity. I'm not sure, but that happened in one of the games I broadcast with Hempfield, bobbled a couple of times, and D-Ron Hunter ultimately took it for a touchdown. So it just feels like something that if you bobble it and get it back, sometimes you can break it into a big one.
Maybe that was part of the plan for Dustin Schoaf going into that game. Let's bobble the opening kickoff, see what happens. I'll have to ask him that. But yeah, I mean, the coverage gets thrown off there a little bit. I think he breaks through the first wave and is able to run away from everybody and get Southmoreland off and running. And then Mount Pleasant, their first possession, they fumble the ball. Mount Pleasant turns it over. Southmoreland on a 4th down scores on a 5-yard touchdown run by Avrion Darnell. And it was, I think, about 8 minutes left in the first quarter. So just a few minutes into the game, Southmoreland's up 14-0. And that was the only scoring of the entire game, which was really hard to believe. I thought Mount Pleasant played very tough in the game as well. They had a really good shot at it in the third quarter. They went on a pretty long drive, took like 7 minutes off the clock, but didn't score. And I think that was kind of the ball game right there because Mount Pleasant, especially against Southmoreland, they're probably not going to hit any big plays or at least a lot of big plays against them. So they're going to have to grind it out and score on a long drive. That's what they like to do anyway. They just weren't able to do so on that drive. And, big 4th down and goal stop. Stephen Pradina was stopped by David Sager, who had a really good game along the front line for Southmoreland. And that was just a massive play in the game. And at that point, Southmoreland was able to kind of control the clock, run out the clock, and win it. So wasn't the prettiest game for sure, but I think for those football purists, they love the physicality of it because there was a lot of hard hitting out onto the field. And one actually that stands out in my mind real quick here, Sean, was Tristan Turkowitz. He went one-on-one in the hole with, I believe it was Jackson Mickens, who can really lower the shoulder on you as an offensive player. Tristan went down for like a few minutes. Like he was down for a while, and we were hoping for the best. I think he had a stinger because he came out of the game, came right back into the game, and made some really nice plays for Mount Pleasant. So it just showed the toughness of Tristan in the game. And so from an old school standpoint, it was fun to watch.
So the Scotties are now 8-0, which I don't know that anyone would have anticipated that, especially with some of the losses that they had prior to the season and early on in the season in terms of personnel. But I think for Mount Pleasant, you could, in a loss, still feel pretty good about where you might be. Now they've got some big games coming up, but they just went toe to toe with a team that's, undefeated. And you take away one special teams play and it's a touchdown game. So I think that Jason Fazikas's crew probably can take some positives out of that, although they hate losing to anyone. In particular, it stings a little more when it's against the rival Scotties.
Yeah, and again, like you mentioned, their defense gave up one touchdown the first couple of minutes of the game. That was it. The other obviously was a special teams touchdown. They did some pretty good things on offense. They just, again, they score on that long drive. Who knows? Maybe that gives them some momentum. Maybe they end up tying the game. But give credit to Southmoreland, able to stop them. But yeah, I mean, I think that Mount Pleasant can still certainly take some positives out of the game. Feel that they went toe to toe with one of the best teams, in the conference, maybe in the classification on their home field, and use that to their advantage against Derry this week.
Well, that game came down to maybe one or two plays. This one did not. Hempfield area was just flat from the get-go and never really had a chance. Seneca Valley 47 and the Spartans 8. Seneca Valley had not won a game in Class 6A. They were blown out by Norwin. Now, that's about a month ago. But this felt like a game that Hempfield area should win and probably really needed to win to feel pretty good about their postseason odds. They're still going to have an opportunity. They might need a decent bit of help. But man, this is not the Spartans team we've seen this year. Even in some of the losses, that loss against Norwin, they were very, very competitive and they could have won that game. And I wonder, did that linger? Did maybe the pressure of what this game meant also overwhelm them a little bit? Because it just was not the Spartans team that I've, seen or heard about all season long. They really, right from the get-go, just were not in sync. And Seneca Valley, to its credit, jumped all over them. First offensive play was a rushing touchdown. Caden Parker went for 163 and 2 scores on the ground. And Dom Dietrich, who's had a record-setting career, just never seemed like he was able to find his rhythm.
Yeah, it just seems like to me that maybe the loss to Norwin really took some steam out of them. However, I'm sure Nick Kiefer and the coaching staff were saying, hey, our season's not over. Like, we have a chance to get to the playoffs after that loss to Norwin I'm talking about. And they just didn't respond. And I'm sure it was disappointing. I saw Nick's, comments after the game. It was kind of like a head scratcher because of the way that they have played, this year, getting out to that 3-0 start and beating Cannon McMillan in a pretty exciting game and nearly knocking off Norwin. And, you're kind of, riding high in those games. And then you just kind of lay an egg to Seneca Valley, who I think, Sean, came in with only 2 wins overall and no wins in the conference. Yeah. And I mean, on paper, there's no way Seneca Valley is that much better than Hempfield, but you give credit to the Raiders. They were able to kind of, like you mentioned, just get out to that quick start and really snowball things on Hempfield. They are going to need some help, but this certainly is a must-win game this week. Their last conference game of the season this week, because they finish off the season with a non-conference against Gateway.
So here's the weird part of it. And again, we have said right from the get-go, everyone that has followed high school football safely would have said Central Catholic, North Allegheny are going to be in the playoffs. 4 teams make it out of the 7 in the classification. So right now, Hempfield is the last place team in all of 6A. They are 1-4 because they have played more games in Seneca Valley, 1-3, and Mount Lebanon, 1-3. Cannon Mac is ahead of them, but the Spartans have the tiebreaker over the Big Macs, and Cannon Mac's schedule is going to be kind of difficult from here on out. They're playing all the teams that are ahead of them. And so if the Spartans knock off Mount Lebanon, they would have the head-to-head over them. They also have the head-to-head over Cannon McMillan, and Seneca Valley is probably not really a threat in terms of the postseason at a point because that was just their first win. So a win for the Spartans, they would still, I think, have a decent chance. The unfortunate aspect is you would feel like, you're relying on other teams when that really wasn't necessarily needed to be the case because you had an opportunity on your home field. So if they get in, they're not going to be worried about what happened against Seneca Valley, in week 7. But it does feel like if they were to win this game and then not get in, they would be kicking themselves about that missed opportunity that they had this past Friday.
Yeah, and that's opportunities that you just don't obviously get back, especially for the seniors. And that's why it was just, kind of disappointing. I'm obviously not going to say anything about their effort. I didn't see the game. I
almost felt like there's too much pressure on them. You know what I mean?
Something
they had told us we saw
right.
them the first week of August, and everyone said make the playoffs for the first time, and that was their biggest goal. Every single player seemed like they knew that it's been almost a decade. And I don't know if maybe the pressure made them a little, out of their norm.
A little bit tight. And again, you're coming off an emotional game. We see it at every single level, every single sport. You play your rival, whether you win or lose. Sometimes that next game is an emotional letdown. And some that might have had something to do with it as well. But again, if you have a chance to make the playoffs, that has to kind of take that spot, right? You can't let that happen. But they have another chance at it this week. I have a really good feeling that they're going to come out strong. I don't know if they're going to win, but I think it's going to be a little bit different this week. I certainly hope so for them.
Well, Jeanette was able to get a crucial victory this past week. Second straight year that they've gone against Brentwood, and it's been a really terrific game. They win this one 23-18. Keimani Brown again every single week. He's going to be paramount in their success. About 150 yards passing, over 125 rushing, a couple of touchdowns. Jace Powell seems like he's relatively healthy after that scare a couple weeks ago. They didn't need a play in the final seconds on a 2-point conversion to win it this time, but Spartans tested them. But for Jeanette, this was a massive win. Had they lost this game, you would really start wondering, maybe they won't be in the playoffs. We've already said that about Greensburg Central Catholic. Now 3-2, Jeanette seems like it's in a really good spot. Good for third place. And again, you feel like that was a game they had to have, and they delivered, and look no further than Keimani Brown, who's been their leader all season, as he was the catalyst for it.
Yeah, he was great. He was great once again. How about the parity right now in this Eastern Conference? Obviously Clairton is blowing everybody
Clairton, away. There's no parity for the number one spot. I'll say that.
Absolutely not. But Jeanette, a 5-point win over Brentwood. Yeah, they, GCC 37-22, but, it's maybe a little bit closer than that. They lose to Leechburg. It's just, it's a little bit different. And then, Brentwood is actually in there competing and stuff. So it's
Riverview's defeated Greensburg Central Catholic.
Yeah, Riverview too, for sure.
And then Fraser beat Riverview.
And then, Fraser's having I know Jeanette handed them 61-19 game earlier, but Fraser's having a pretty good year. So yeah, it's just weird to see that, how much parity there is in this conference after Clairton.
By the way, the Bears allowed 19 points in their first game of the season against Amani Christian, which is one of those undefeated teams, and they play in 3A, by the way. Clairton has not allowed a point since then. So
they are unbelievable.
Six consecutive shutouts.
It's the size, too, with them. That's something that really jumped out to me when I saw them play Greensburg Central Catholic. Jeanette and some of these other teams can maybe match up with them skill-wise, at least close, but not up front. No way. Those guys are athletic and massive. So it's I don't know what, the whole cliche with what they put in the water there, but it's just like Aliquippa, man. They just find those big athletic kids up front to go along with their skill. That's just Just incredible.
And for Jeanette, I mentioned how crucial this game was. Now they're at Springdale, and the Dynamos are really struggling. They're truthfully one of the worst teams in the WPIAL. And then at home against Riverview, which I think is a big advantage to be playing at McKee. So they've got a real shot, I think, to finish on a 4-game winning streak, get into the postseason, and not just get in. They'll probably get a little bit better of a seed than if they had dropped that game to Brentwood. And then you're wondering, like, will they maybe be a wild card? So 3-2 with a real chance to finish at 5-2. I think Jeanette's got to be feeling pretty decent about where they are at compared to a couple weeks ago.
And the question is, Sean, could Jeanette finish in second place? I mean, Leechburg still has to play Brentwood and Greensburg Central Catholic. They could finish 3 in the conference.
Well, yeah. So I think the biggest issue is that Leechburg might finish with the same record as Jeanette if they drop one of those, but I don't know that they're going to drop both.
Well, I'm saying they would have to drop both, obviously. But I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but yeah, I mean, it's probably not going to happen. But hey, it's fun to talk about.
No doubt. Well, another thing that's fun to talk about is Kiski area's massive victory. It's a little bit of a rivalry, I would say, for the Cavaliers and Armstrong. They're in Armstrong County, right on the border of Kiski area. And so the Cavaliers get a big victory, 27-25. And the significance of this, because we've spent a lot of time talking about the Big East Conference, and of course it's Woodland Hills, the top team. Penn Trafford is, I think, at this point separated itself as the second best team, and I'm not sure that anyone's particularly close to catching the Warriors behind them. But now Kiski is in third place. And when I saw them get blown out by Norwin. I saw them get blown out by Hempfield. I saw them get blown out by Penn Trafford. And I saw them lose their starting quarterback against Penn Trafford as well, and Landon Artman. And I figured this is just not going to be their year. Maybe they, win one game from here on out, but they're not going to make any noise. I was wrong. They now have a winning record in conference play. Artman is back, and he had himself another monster game. Almost 300 yards passing. Their freshman running back, Ashton Taylor, who's been pretty quiet since the first game of the season, he got in the end zone a couple of times. They've now won 3 in a row after losing 4 in a row. Maybe it's just as simple as they don't lose at home and they don't win on the road, because all of their games at home, they've won, and all of their games on the road, they lost. The good news, if you want to look at it with that trend, they are at Plum this week. But then they host Woodland Hills. So that should be an easy victory against the Wolverines.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
wrap up the conference. But, the way that it works, they will probably be in the playoffs now. And a win like this could make all the difference, because Armstrong looked like that would maybe be the biggest challenger to PT. And now it's Kiski area that's sitting alone in third place in the Big East.
Yeah, how about that, man? Coach Hawk, congratulations to him, the way that, he's kept the players engaged. I mean, they have some really good ones, Landon Artman, Avon Shirley, and Tegan Shirley. I mean, they have some weapons there. And that was a really fun game. 27-25. Armstrong goes for, the 2-point conversion. One of their running backs, Phoenix Wincoop, gets stopped on a pitch on their 2-point conversion. And then, there's still about 5 minutes left there. And Artman wrapped it up, I think, on a third down. He ran himself and got the first down to put the game away. But I give a lot of credit to Kiski. Again, under a new head coach, things could have went south at the beginning of the year. You mentioned injuries and that type of thing, and they were able to kind of stay at a certain level, and now they really have a shot again at making the WPIL playoffs. And I know, and I say this every single year, and I repeat this so much. People will say certain teams like, "Oh, wow, they make the playoffs and they're going to be a one and done." Well, maybe. But again, for some of these teams, that is their WPIAL championship, just getting into the postseason and being able to play in a postseason game. That also helps build programs sometimes too.
And when you're a first-year head coach, it means a lot to get that extra week with your team. Keep this in mind as well, because we talked about Landon Artman. He's been great the last 2 weeks against Latrobe. He was prolific. And then Armstrong, we mentioned what he did. But this winning streak started against Franklin Regional when Avon Shirley played quarterback. And so if they drop that game, that's probably a wrap for their postseason hopes. They won that game 14-7. It was mostly the defense, and now they're on a 3-game winning streak. So that's really good stuff to your point, they could have let the season get away. Didn't happen. Colin Haw deserves a lot of credit. And, they are going to be losing Avon Shirley, but most of the other guys, they're going to be around for another year or 2 or 3. They've got a very good group of sophomores in that lineup. They've got some freshmen playing key roles as well. So I think they're going to be a pretty good team for the next few years, but they're hoping their time is now as that big victory moves them into third place. That's right, John Cena, his farewell tour. Cavaliers hoping
time is almost gone.
Their farewell, yes. We will take a break. We're not going to say farewell, however, just see you in a couple minutes, because we'll be back with a lot more to get to. We're going to have our Week 7 scores and top performers. We'll also have plays of the week. And a little bit later, interviews with Scott Breyer, Bell Vernon area, and Derry area's Max Doherty, as well as a Week 8 preview. It's Westmoreland on the Gridiron right here on the Westmoreland Sports Network. It's powered by Bowser.
Game day or any day, the power of Bowser is here to get you where you need to go. From the latest Hyundai, Nissan, Subaru, Chevrolet, GMC, Buick, and Genesis models to quality pre-owned vehicles, Bowser has the perfect lineup for your drive. Look for a winning deal. Bowser's got the plays, great financing, top trade-in values, and a selection that's always in season. From the first whistle to the final buzzer, Bowser Automotive is your hometown MVP. Bowser Automotive, Route 51 South on top of the hill. Powerofbowser.com.
Some moments on the field go beyond the game. They shape who we become. At Home Team Collections, we honor those moments with the care and craftsmanship they deserve. Because these moments aren't just memories, they're a legacy worth preserving. Any team, any sport, any logo. Visit HomeTeamCollections.com today and save $10 off your first order.
We continue here with Westmoreland on the Gridiron. Sean and Flick coming to you. Of course, you know when and where, 7 p.m. on Wednesdays on WSN. We already talked about some of the bigger stories. That's right.
There it is.
Got the shirt, too.
Yeah.
We already talked about some of the biggest stories from Week 7. Let's run down all of the scores, and we'll look at the top performers in just a moment. You can go back and watch many of these games as well, including Seneca Valley 47, Hempfield area 8. If you go back and watch that one, do it for Dan Day. He was my analyst.
Yeah.
He was terrific. I had almost no critique or I guess areas of improvement for him. He was a terrific, analytical football mind throughout, but he's also a really good talker. So that's kind of the best of both worlds. Really enjoyed working with him. Although I don't think either one of us were too happy to see that the Spartans were on the wrong end of a blowout, but go back and watch that one. You can also go back and watch Penn Trafford's 48-14 victory over Franklin Regional. We kind of combined forces with that one, right? We got the FR perspective with Jonathan Whaley and then Sean Benjamin bringing the PT side of things. Nate Desmond went for 145 yards on 9 of 14 passing, but we're going to hear about their star in just a little bit in the top performers. There's Ben Grabowski. He has been unbelievable the last 6 or so quarters of football. The game that Flick had, Southmoreland 14, Mount Pleasant nothing. You can go back and watch that one as well. You can also check out Derry area's 43-28 victory over Greensburg-Salem. Flick, that was kind of a wild game, but that's a really big victory for the Trojans. I know Greensburg-Salem's kind of sputtering recently, but for the Trojans to use their passing game as much as they did, that's got to be a welcome sign.
Yeah, I mean, they started the game out with a bang, much like we did over at Southmoreland, the kickoff return, but Derry went to the air on their first play of the game and hit a long touchdown pass from Anthony Sacco to Carson Wires, and Wires had a huge day on Friday. So yeah, I mean, to set the tone like that was huge for them. And by the way, I want to give a shout out. I don't know if he's watching, but this is a guy that I've known for a long time. Mario Sacco, who is Anthony's, I believe, his uncle, not his cousin. I think it's his uncle. So he's from Homer City. I've known him for a while just through doing things there, working in radio in Indiana County. And he actually is a sports anchor in Syracuse.
They interviewed him, I believe, during the game. Is that
so
correct?
He did color through the whole third quarter because my brother has known him for a long time as well. They were joking around. They actually did a Legion baseball tournament like we used to do a couple years ago. They did one when he was like 15 years old or something like that. He did color with my brother a long, long time ago. So he brought him on, and he was great. Obviously, he can speak very well. He knows sports very well. So I thought that was really cool. But again, I think it's his nephew, Anthony, is the quarterback for Derry. But really cool to see, and hear from him and, have him on the broadcast.
Yeah, well, it must have been good luck because the Trojans win that one 43-28 over the Golden Lions at Offutt. We mentioned Kiskearia's 27-25 victory over Armstrong. Bell Vernon area gets just its second win of the season, 48-6 against Laurel Highlands. We're going to hear from Scott Breyer, their head coach, in just a little bit. Highlands knocks off Burrell 42-21. Buccaneers were hanging in there for a little bit, but ultimately just let the game kind of get away from them in the second half. Elizabeth Forward continues to dominate. Warriors win against Jock 55-7. East Allegheny edges Valley 16-10. Looked like the Vikings might have a real chance to get their first win in quite a while, but it goes in favor of the Wildcats. South Park doubles up Ligonier Valley 42-21. Jeanette 23, Brentwood 18. We talked about how important that was for the Jayhawks. Greensburg Central Catholic with an impressive showing against Springdale 52-14. And Greater Latrobe on the wrong side of a 43-7 outcome at home against Pine Richland in non-conference. And in the college ranks, Slippery Rock 49, Seton Hill 7. Flick, we were there at Offutt. That was a bummer because we saw maybe the biggest victory in program history the prior week. And I know some people that are very involved with the program thought it was the biggest victory when they won at Cal. But it feels like, all the positives that came with that kind of went out the window when the Rock came to town.
Unfortunately, yeah. And, Seton Hill's playing their third string quarterback now. They also played their third string quarterback against Cal when they had that massive upset.
When it was a big surprise that he was playing, though.
See, that's what I think the biggest thing was for me, right? They had no idea, Cal had no idea that Darian Carter was playing in that game, and he is a running quarterback. And if you don't game plan for that, it probably is tough. But still, it's not like Seton Hill lit up the world. They scored 16 points. I thought the biggest disappointment against Slippery Rock was the defense because against Cal, they played extremely well. Obviously, the offense stunk. Let's be honest about it. But the defense giving up 49 points, and it's not as if they were stopping them, and then all of a sudden they just got tired because the offense wasn't moving the ball. Slippery Rock kind of from the beginning, was scoring early and often. So that's what really disappointed me was the defense. But again, we talked about Hempfield coming off an emotional loss against Norwin. Maybe Seton Hill coming off an emotional win against California. They laid an egg. Maybe that has something to do with it. So hopefully they can bounce back this week against Cannon.
And Slippery Rock's quarterback should be all-name team. DeJuan Owens.
DeJuan.
Yes.
DeJuan. Yeah.
He wears number 1, by the way. Speaking of college quarterbacks, Jake Phillips did it again for St. Vincent. 57-35 Bearcats knock off Bethany. The former Spartan has been tearing it up for SVC. They've got a prolific receiver as well, but Phillips doing some really good things there for Coach Goff in his first season as the Bearcats get the victory. Let's now look at the top performers from this past week, the top passer, rusher, and receiver from across the entire WPIAL, or even Western Pennsylvania, if we want to include some independents and City League, and then the several notable in Westmoreland County as well. The top passer, a name that we heard a couple of weeks ago, was Chartiers Valley's Luke Miranda, 24 of 40 for 323 yards. Landon Artman of Kiskearia was the top passer in Westmoreland. He goes for 289 on 22 of 33 attempts. Brody Chismar of Greensburg-Salem throws for 182. Anthony Sacco in that same game goes for 159 for Derry area. Keimani Brown of Jeanette, 149 yards passing. And Nate Desmond of Penn Trafford throws for 146. The top rusher also came against a Westmoreland County team. That is Tevin Owen Kratzenberg of Highlands, 318 yards on the ground in the victory for the Golden Rams. Ben Grabowski on just 4 carries for PT goes for 172. A couple of Burl Buccaneers back-to-back Antonio Perkins for 155, and Trey Corey with 150. Keimani Brown of Jeanette, 128 yards rushing, in addition to his nearly 150 passing. And our player of the week that we will hear from in just a bit, Max Doherty of Derry area, rushes for 122. The top receiver this past week in all of the land, he hails from Westmoreland County. Avon Shirley of Kiski area, 10 receptions for 184 yards to lead the way. Carson Wires of Derry area had 140. Nick Ponko of Penn Trafford, 5 grabs for 84 yards. And Brandon Miller of Greensburg-Salem had 81 yards received. That'll do it for the top performers. We'll take a break, but we will have the top plays, the plays of the week when we return. And just a little bit later, we will hear from Scott Breyer and Max Doherty. It's Westmoreland on the Gridiron, powered by Bowser, right here on WSN.
My name is Katie Kostick. While I was breastfeeding my daughter, I found a lump and immediately went to meet with my OBGYN, where we discovered abnormal tissue that ultimately led to my cancer diagnosis. Independence Health System was amazing with me during my care. I feel that they're compassionate and caring. You can feel when a doctor cares about you. It's like seeing an old friend at this point. I'm Katie, and I got expert care here at Independence Health System.
Play It Again Sports in Greensburg is your locally owned and operated sporting goods store. We set ourselves apart by offering a wide variety of both new and used equipment at competitive prices. Located in the Greengate East Plaza, below Walmart, Play It Again Sports' knowledgeable staff will help you and your family prepare for every athletic season. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or trade, we are here as your one-stop shop. At Play It Again Sports in Greensburg, everybody plays.
We roll along here on Westmoreland on the Gridiron, and it is, as you call it, Flick, segment number 3.
I do call it.
As everyone else calls it, plays of the week. Are you ready?
Sure, Sean. That'd be nice. Yeah.
Let's do it. All right. We'll begin with Southmoreland, and in a low-scoring affair that saw just 2 touchdowns, Avery Darnell's fourth down conversion, I should say, was a massive swing in favor of the Scotties as he extended their lead over Mount Pleasant in the first quarter, not the fourth, the first, with Dan and John Bainbridge capturing that sequence.
See if Mount Pleasant can keep Southmoreland out of the end zone. Wolf with the snap, the handoff, Darnell right side, and Darnell into the end zone for the touchdown. Avery Darnell, a touchdown run of 5 yards, and the Scotties score again.
That was a beautiful cut by Darnell, just on a dime, planted his right foot and got square into the end zone. Southmoreland has nice skill players all over the place. Receivers, backs, quarterback, tight ends, linebackers, linemen. They got athletes everywhere.
Great point there by Coach Bainbridge. You know, Southmoreland is led by a number of guys, not just 1 or 2 go-to guys. Yeah, I mean, Jackson Mickens, Darnell brothers, maybe they kind of factor in there, Dawson Wolf. But see, I'm already naming like 4 or 5 guys right there. So it's a real team effort. They have Stanley a lot Chapman, of good players.
Stanley Betters.
Southmoreland. Yeah, you can keep going on and on. Chapman's been a monster. You said Betters. Yeah, so it really is a team effort over there in Elverton.
We will continue plays of the week with Franklin Regional, and it was a tough night for the Panthers, but the defense provided a highlight with an incredible play by Caden Farrell to put FR on the board, with Jonathan Whaley and Sean Benjamin calling the action.
Luke Smith, that's all I got to say. Now the quarterback under pressure gets it out. Oh, and it's intercepted at the 5-yard line. Touchdown! A pick 6. If Franklin Regional's on the board, and it looks like that was number 20 for Franklin Regional, and that was Caden Farrell, a sophomore, with a 5-yard pick 6. Franklin Regional's on the board.
Desmond looked like he was just throwing it down on a quick wide receiver screen there, but read nicely.
Caden Farrell.
Yeah, Caden Farrell read that perfect. Stepped in front, put a hand up, and took it into the end zone. Big play.
Oh, I love it, man. A little bit of excitement there for the Franklin Regional fans and the players. Down 24-0. Even though they get that touchdown, they're still probably not really back into the game, but definitely some excitement there for the Panther Stadium.
Yeah, everyone loves a pick six, no doubt, even if it comes in a setback, which ultimately was the case, because we now shift to the other side of that game, and that's Penn Trafford, because tonight belonged to the Warriors, and in particular, it belonged to Ben Grabowski. His third score of the opening half gave PT an insurmountable lead, with JW and Sean highlighting the powerful run.
Swings to the far side, single receiver short. Back moves from the far side to the near side. And the quarterback is going to run it up the middle, and he busts through. He's at the 30. He's going to get down to the 20, down to the 10, 5, touchdown. 45-yard touchdown by guess who? Number 8, Ben Grabowski.
That time, same as what they did on the other side earlier in the first quarter. They put Jamison Yurt in the backfield with him, swap sides, ran it to the right there, and Ben Grabowski just breaking tackles. If you see him and Jamison Yurt in the backfield at the same time, you better believe that ball's coming at you.
All right, and it was. And Ben Grabowski having a sensational first half, coming off an outstanding effort.
Not a bad night at the office for Benjamin Grabowski. 4 attempts, 3 touchdowns, including, as you mentioned, that powerful run right there. And ever since halftime of that Gateway game, I think Ben is back.
Yeah, he looks healthy again. He looks 100%. We'll continue plays of the week with Derry area, and the Trojans started their game against Greensburg-Salem with a bang. I think we mentioned that before, because they wasted no time in finding the end zone on a long connection. Anthony Sacco to Carson Wires, as John Flickinger and Bob Lasinski captioned the big pass.
He'll be up here joining us in the booth a bit. He's a sports anchor. As Anthony's going to throw on first down, he wants to go deep. Pretty good coverage, and the pass is caught, and it's Wires, and Wires is going to score on the first play of the game. He outreached the defender, McCreary, and Carson Wires has a touchdown for the Trojans. It's 6-0 right off the bat.
Yeah, that was great coverage, John, as you mentioned, and Sacco put the ball right on the money. Nice catch by Wires, and 65 yards later, the Trojans were on the board, and I think that took everybody by surprise. As we mentioned, the Trojans trouble passing, but great job.
Well, that play, I think they had everyone fooled. Even like my brother was like, oh, they're going to throw it on first down, the first play of the game, and perfect pass. And that set the tone for the Trojans, I think, offensively, even though Max Doherty ended up chewing up a lot of yards on the ground with his 3 touchdowns.
And by the way, how good do you feel as a coach when you design that first play of the game and it works to perfection for a touchdown like that?
Yeah, they talked about that play going into the game. It wasn't just like, oh, what are we going to run first here? I'm sure that was something that was designed in practice during the week.
No doubt. We'll wrap up plays of the week on the other side with Greensburg-Salem, because it was only fitting that the Golden Lions, Latrey Derry, had a breakout game against Derry. In addition to a pair of rushing scores, he produced a highlight reel kickoff return to keep his team hanging around in the fourth quarter with John and Bob on the call.
Yep. The old 1570 WQTW. And it's Derry on the return, and Derry has a seam, and he gets outside. Oh, no! Latrey Derry takes it up the sideline. And like I said, you have to be careful. Oh, my. Well, we got a good old-fashioned shootout here. Touchdown, Latrey Derry. Some 70-plus yards, I believe, on that touchdown return on the kickoff.
Yeah, I gave him 85.
Oh, okay, my fault. I didn't see exactly where he caught it.
Between the 15 and 20.
Great return there by Latrey Derry. I'm sure my brother had a little bit of fun with that throughout the game, as he kind of kept Greensburg-Salem within earshot of Derry, but the Trojans were able to kind of put the game away there in the fourth quarter. I know you were ready to complete plays of the week, Sean, but
I said finally. That means
I know,
it's the last one.
But guess what? I'm going to continue plays of the week. Is that all right? Can I do it real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I know I did this once earlier this season. I just hijacked your special segment here.
Well, that was when someone got their pants pulled off, I think.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Well, this didn't happen this week. I don't think. I don't remember that, and I think I would remember. But I got to give a shout out to our man Ty Warwick, who, first of all, we mentioned all the good players for Southmoreland. Ty's in that conversation as well. But he watches our plays of the week every week. He watches our Gridiron show every week. I talked to him after the last couple times we were at Southmoreland. He wants to be a broadcaster. So
we interviewed him before the season too.
We did. That's right, at the training camp preview. So I told him, because we didn't fit in one of the plays of the week earlier in the year when he had a one-handed catch, I told him that I would include his interception to kind of ice the game against Mount Pleasant. We'd put that in plays of the week. So let's go to it right now. This is Ty Warwick's interception against the Vikings. Firmstone with Brooks in motion. He's going to step up. He takes a hit. He throws one right down the middle of the field, and it's intercepted. Ty Warwick, though, makes the interception.
That's a heck of a catch. Outstanding, but 4th and 15.
Just knock it down, right?
Knock it down.
So Ty Warwick makes the pick. We saw Ty make an interception a couple of weeks ago when we were here for Southmoreland's win over Ringgold. All right, there you have it, Ty. Shout out to you, man. Appreciate you watching every single week. Appreciate you being a great kid. And hopefully, Sean, he said he wants to kind of shadow whenever he has time. He plays basketball, football, but he's trying to shadow some broadcasts here coming up. So whenever he has time, he's going to be joining us a little bit.
Maybe a Southmoreland softball season.
That would be probably a good time to do it.
All right. Well, that'll do it for Plays of the Week, but you want to stick around because we've got 2 good interviews upcoming. I will talk to Scott Breyer, the head coach of the Bell Vernon area Leopards in his first year. And then Flick will talk to Max Doherty. Here's our Westmoreland Sports Network Player of the Week representing Gary area. Those upcoming right here on Westmoreland on the Gridiron, powered by Bowser.
Over the years, car dealerships have come and gone, but one name has stood the test of time. Smale? The Smale family's commitment to excellence is unwavering. We're proud to announce the grand opening of our new Smale Kia showroom. Right now, get up to $1,000 APR bonus cash on select models, plus 0% financing for up to 48 months on 2025 Kia Sportage and Kia Sorento gas models. Don't miss these savings. Now it's Smale Kia, Route 30 East, Greensburg.
DBAT Pittsburgh East, the area's premier baseball and softball training academy, is now open in Westmoreland County. Our 20,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility features dual fungo man pitching machines, hit tracks enabled cages, and professional bullpens. With private baseball and softball instruction, we're here to help you dominate the diamond. And don't forget to stop into our pro shop, powered by Rawlings and Easton, for the latest gear. DBAT Pittsburgh East, now open in export. Visit dbatpiteast.com.
Welcome back to Westmoreland on the Gridiron. Sean Myers now joined by the first-year head coach of the Bell Vernon area Leopards, Scott Breyer. His team coming off of a lopsided victory against Laurel Highlands last time out. And Scott, I know that your team has been awfully close for many, many weeks. You were coming up maybe one place shy of knocking off some real heavyweights on your schedule. And I would imagine there was a little bit of frustration, but it had to feel really good this past Friday to win 48-6 against the Mustangs. So how important was that to finally get to see that hard work pay dividends in the win column?
Yeah, you're right, Sean. I felt great for our players. At the beginning of our year, our schedule was like, we went through a meat grinder there the first 5 weeks. And then we lose a heartbreaker to TJ, and obviously they're our biggest rivals. And, to come up, a couple points short there and, a minute and a half, 2 minutes away from winning that game. And then to lose to a good Chartiers Valley team on a 2-point conversion with less than a minute left in the game. A lot of disappointment in our guys. So proud of them to bounce back from those 2 consecutive losses, to come back and, put the work in necessary, to compete against Laurel Highlands on Friday night. But just felt great for them to, get that win, being that they've really worked through some adversity this year and some really heartbreaking losses there. That's tough to bounce back from. And I think that says a lot about those guys and, how they're there for each other and how they continue to work hard, even, despite the tough start we had to the year. And then those 2 heartbreaking losses. I think it says a lot about the guys we have in that room right now.
Was there any moments where you thought maybe the mindset the mentality of the players was kind of on the brink and getting away after some of those losses?
Yeah, we came back from there was the after the TJ game, we came in that weekend. We usually do a lift and we watch film, and the guys were pretty up. Despite having lost that, I think there was a sense of focus and a sense of, okay, let's get this thing right and let's come back to work. And we really had a productive weekend there, and we came out that Monday of the Chartiers Valley game. I really had a good practice. It was upbeat, it was focused, and then Tuesday of that week, just a really bad practice. Very lethargic, not very focused, and that was kind of a red flag. But we met after practice, kind of got everybody refocused, came in, practiced really well on Wednesday and Thursday that week. And I thought we went on. We played a good game against Char Valley. I mean, Chase Petrosky set school rushing record. Our line was really firing. And, the thing that gets lost in that game is that we take the opening drive right down the field, maybe 3 or 4 plays, hit a couple big runs. And Chase has a tough run inside the 10-yard line. And there's a scrum that's, barely moving, and if it's moving at all, and Chartiers Valley player comes out with the ball and goes 98 yards for a touchdown. That's a 14-point swing right at the beginning of the game, and you end up losing on a 2-point conversion on the last play. So, that just adds to the disappointment. But yeah, that Tuesday after the TJ game, there was a little bit of a red flag, but those guys regrouped and came back and worked hard all week. And really came back last week with a focus for Ringgold, or for Laurel Highlands, and it's really not something I'm worried about with these guys anymore. They have showed a lot to myself and the other coaches. I think they're really focused on the present. What's next, not living in the past, and really not looking too far down the line. So that's a good trait to have.
First year guiding this program, I guess if we don't count the very short stint that you had about 15 years ago, but I would imagine it's been some highs and lows, right? I mean, you got your first career victory against a very good team in Central Valley, and then you got that incredible lopsided win this past week and some heartbreak in the process. So how have you evaluated how it's gone for you personally?
It's a good question. I've been in terms of where we are as a team, I'm very pleased with our focus and our daily approach, and the kids staying positive and working together. And I think that that's been a focus of mine. I want these guys to work together as a team and to persevere through things. The thing that I always talk to them about, our message to these guys has been control the controllables. And, those controllables are your effort and your attitude every day. That's all you can control. And the outcomes will take care of themselves. And unfortunately, we've been on the short end of some of those. But I think when you go back and you look, we were able to identify little things along the way that kind of compounded. It probably cost us those games. And those are things that we've been focused on and fixing in practice. So I think that, there was a time in my career where I may not have looked at it like that. Like I look at it now and I see a lot of growth in these guys, and I've known them for a long time. And that's the one thing that we've been preaching with these guys is, control the controllables. There's so many things in your life that you don't have control over that may have a negative impact on things. But, if it's not something that you can fix, if it's not something you have control over, kind of let that go, work on what you can improve upon. And, I think we're doing a really good job of that. So if you ask me where we're at as a program, I think we're doing a good job at what we're asking them to do. And I'm happy with the direction that we're heading. I think we're still a really focused football team. We had a great practice tonight. So I'm looking forward, and I'm proud of these guys, and they faced a lot of adversity, and they showed up every day, and they can continue to work hard. So.
So Bell Vernon has a very good football tradition, especially recently. Within the past 5 years, you've played in a WPAL championship game, won 2 other WPIAL and state titles. So anytime someone establishes a new program record, that's pretty significant. You mentioned Chase Petrosky, the rushing record. You also have a record with your field goal kicker, Preston Rathway, longest made field goal in program history. So those are 2 pretty cool accomplishments considering all the great players that have come through that program. So what did it mean to those 2 guys?
I think it's meant a lot to them, especially Chase. I think that at the beginning of the year we were giving Chase the ball, and he tended to bounce the ball outside a lot. Wanted to run to the sideline instead of sticking his foot in the ground and getting to the goalpost. And it's something that we've worked on in practice. And really stressed to him, like, hey, listen, just be patient, give those linemen up front the chance, and really, press that point of attack. That hole is going to open up. And I think if you look at the way he's been running the ball the last 3 or 4 weeks, he's been doing just that. And, it paid off for him in a big way against Char Valley. And he ran the ball well against Laurel Highlands as well, but Char Valley was a special night for him. I mean, it started off fast. Like I said, that opening drive, we went about 80 yards in maybe 3 plays. And, when we did have the fumble, it was a great run before that. I mean, he really stuck it up in there and he was moving the pile. So I think that, from the standpoint of, where we started the year with Chase and the improvements that he made, that makes that record even more sweet. In terms of Preston kicking the ball, I mean, Preston is we have the utmost confidence in Preston. I think we've probably attempted, I'd say half a dozen field goals over 45 yards this year. Had some snaps that didn't quite connect, and we might have had a hole dropped. And when the night that he kicked the record, I think he kicked a 46-yarder that night that hit about 3/4 of the way up the upright. So he just missed having another one that night. And actually, at the end of the Char Valley game, we got the ball with maybe 30 seconds left after they scored their 2-point conversion. We got down the field. We got to about the like the 43-yard line, and we had a timeout, and the kids were trying to convince me into letting Preston catch. I said, I don't know if he got 60 in them, guys, but those guys on that field believed that he did. So I'm like, yeah, I don't think he has 60 in him, but he was right there with him. He's like, I could kick this, coach. I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that.
We saw a 57-yarder go through.
Yeah, we did. That's true.
To set a record. So you look at I said this last week on our show. I thought Bell Vernon was probably the best 1-5 team in the WPIAL. I know that that's a little consolation, but you've been playing well, even if it hasn't yielded victories regularly. So now 2-5, and you've got 2 games left, both at home, Ringgold and Trinity. 2 teams that are pretty good. Certainly Trinity is, and Ringgold is a team that's taken a big step forward. So is it fair to look at it and say, we still feel like if we win these 2 games, we could potentially be in the postseason, even with a losing record?
Yeah, I'm going to come back to that message that we've been delivering to the game, or to the players, that I just mentioned before. We're going to control the controllables. Our job is to prepare and beat Ringgold this Friday. I mean, that's a big rivalry game. They're right across the river. There's been a good history there, the last 15 years. And that's where our focus is at this point. We have to control what we can control, and we have to show up, putting that effort in practice, and showing up with the right attitude and focusing on them. And then, next week, the controllables are our effort and our attitude and our preparation towards Trinity. Outside of that, unfortunately, we put ourselves in a position where there's a lot of things that we can't control, and we can't worry about that. So, we're going to continue with that message. We're going to control the controllables. We're going to show up with a good effort and a good attitude, and we're going to win these football games. And whatever happens after that. But that's been the message all year, and we're going to continue with that.
Well, Scott, hopefully it yields a couple of wins and then maybe some additional football after. Thanks so much for doing this. I know we're a little late, but congrats on that first victory as the head coach and obviously the second one this past week. Hopefully the first two of many to come for your time with the Leopards.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Sean. Have a good night.
That is Scott Breyer, the head coach of the Belle Vernon area Leopards. When we continue here on Westmoreland on the Gridiron, we will talk to our Westmoreland Sports Network Player of the Week, Max Doherty of the Derry Area Trojans, right here on WSN.
You can't count all the ways you take care of your family in a single busy day. But knowing you made a difference in their lives is all the reward you need. At AHN Neighborhood Hospitals, that's what motivates us too. Whether it's our loved ones or yours.
The prevention of youth and adult substance abuse in our communities is so important, and our goal at CSAE is to do just that. CSAE works to provide education, encourage recovery, and create social change.
Join us at CSAE, because to see the change, you have to be the change.
Here's Max. He's good too. And he's got a first down and more to the 20 to 15. Max Doherty is going to make a house call.
Westmoreland on the Gridiron continues. Dan Flickinger now back with you. Want to thank Scott Breyer of the Belle Vernon area Leopards for talking some Leopard football with us here tonight. Now it's time to transition to some Trojan football as we congratulate our Week 7 Westmoreland Sports Network Player of the Week. He is Max Doherty of the Derry Trojans. He rushed for 125 yards and 4 touchdowns in Derry's big win against Greensburg-Salem last Friday. Max, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your very busy schedule and joining us tonight.
Yes, sir. Nice to be here.
Well, let's jump right into it, Max. How important of a win was it against Greensburg-Salem as you guys try to clinch a playoff spot? That was a big one, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, coming into the week, we knew it needed to happen. I mean, we had a tough game against Elizabeth Ford. I mean, they're a very good team, but we knew we needed the win. I mean, basically no matter what. So the result kind of opened our minds, I think, too, to what we could do in the future.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You're trying to improve playoff seeding as well. So if you guys, are able to get some big wins down the stretch here, it could help out with that. You started the game with a huge touchdown pass. Did that help open up the running game for you going to the air on the first play of the game and then, being able to do what you did on the ground? Did that help you?
Yeah, for sure. I think it did. I mean, we try to establish the run game and then work the pass in, but to switch it up a little bit and to get that deep threat established early, it kind of kept the thought, I think, in their defense's mind of we need to play the run, but that deep threat is so much of an option for us in that game. I mean, it happened throughout the game. You saw Carson with a lot of receptions, a lot of yards. So it definitely opened up, I think, both because they were playing two tasks.
Yeah, Anthony Sacco to Carson Wires to begin the game. And then, of course, that loosens up maybe the defense a little bit. By the way, was that a play that you guys knew you were going to run on the first play of the game in practice? We were just talking about that. Was that something that you had wanted to do right off the bat against Greensburg-Salem, or did it just kind of happen that way?
No, I mean, we always have it scripted. I mean, Mylon has a big plan, and we knew what our look was, and we knew what shot we were going to take, and Anthony saw it and threw a nice ball.
Yeah, always great to hear about the great offensive mind of Coach Hawks for sure. Take me through the touchdown that put the game away for you guys. I want to talk to you about that. It was only a 1-yard run to make it 43-21, but you had 4 straight carries there, and you really used some extra effort in that sequence to get into the end zone. So kind of take me through that and just how you guys were able to put the game away at that point.
Well, we got down, I mean, obviously within the red zone, within the 10, and then I think they basically knew what's coming. You're in short yardage, no matter who it is, basically a run's coming up the middle. Mm-hmm. So they sent a lot of blitzers, and the line picked it up well. I mean, our fullbacks, Aiden Frank, Preston, JP, they picked it up nice. The line picked it up. The third down, this inside backer came through. He hit me hard, but I mean, good play, but just the perseverance from the line to pick it up and then get that final push.
Yeah, especially with Aiden Piper, out. I'm sure that was a scary situation. Have you been able to talk to Aiden since then, I'm sure?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was at practice today. I mean, he came home Saturday morning. He showed up to the JV game and everything, but yeah, I mean, Aspen's stepping up, so he's filling the role. Obviously, it's rough to have him gone, but Aspen's stepping up, and we're just hoping for Aiden to be all right.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I want to talk about you a little bit. I heard you worked on a farm all summer, which, and got stronger, and some old school dairy there. I love it. Some old school training in dairy. How did that help you get ready for the year?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of it's machine work. You do a lot, you learn a lot, but throwing hay, I guess, was the main workout. But we only did that a few times. I think most of it was coming from the morning lift in my conditioning. We'd lift and then we'd condition and everything, and going straight from there to work on those hot summer days. Just the mindset of knowing that you still have to go do more, I think, is mainly what came through.
Yeah, mentally and physically, I feel like that was demanding for you, and that helps you make a better player and a better person.
That's right.
Now, you have a running style, Max. I want to ask you about this. It looks like you're running mad out there. A lot of smiling right now, but when you're on the field, I don't think you're doing that very much.
Yeah, not quite.
Unless you score a touchdown, of course. And a lot of the times you're falling forward as well. So take us through your mindset when you're running the football.
Well, I mean, I'm not the most nimble or shifty there is. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I've been training my speed and my strength a lot, actually, trying to improve different skills in my style. I know I'm not the most put my foot in the ground and juke around. So I try to use my specific skills in my style, kind of work with what's good for me.
You have a lot of great runs this year. I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but kind of thinking about it, do you have a favorite, and can you take us through the play, who it was against, that type of thing?
Yeah. So week 0 against Ligonier, actually, I think was my favorite. It was my first touch of the season. we gave them the ball. I think we deferred to the second half. Well, we got a 3-and-out. We forced a punt, and we had a screenplay. Well, I think it was just an inside handoff, maybe an ISO play to the right, and then I cut it back left, and I actually had a dream, thinking what would I do? Because I knew the script. I thought, what would I do if I score that touchdown that early in the game? The second play, I'm what would I do? And then it kind of came true. So that was really neat.
No way. You wonder if that'll ever happen again. That you're visualizing it while you're sleeping, and then it happens.
No, I totally remember going through the thought of what would I do? What would I do if I score this early? You know what I mean?
That's pretty cool, man. You're also a really good baseball player. I know it's still football season, and a lot of guys will just be like, well, I'm playing football right now, but I have to ask you, is there a sport that you prefer, or do you like them both?
No, I don't know. I like them both. I mean, the opinion of which I like better, it kind of changes based on what season I'm in. But this year especially, I've been really looking forward to football. So I think having a season like this, and I'm really enjoying the season at the moment.
Yeah, I saw one of your teammates, Kason Long, just committed to Shippensburg University. I know you guys are really primed to have a couple of great seasons this spring, so I'm sure you're excited about it.
Oh yeah, he's been asking me to come over, and he wants me to throw a bullpen with him and everything. I told him, I said, hey man, I'm in football mode.
Yeah, I'll get there. You have plenty of time to throw bullpens. Trust me.
I told him as soon as football is over, I'll be over. But right now, I'm in football mode.
Well, speaking of the spring, I want to ask you about your sister, Sophia, who was a great softball player at Derry, and she's now, getting ready for her first year at Carnegie Mellon. Did you guys have home run derbies growing up, and who would win those?
I don't know. I mean, we played wiffle ball. We get really into this competitive wiffle ball in our yard. We play against our batting cage, that's our backstop, and then if you hit it over the road, that's the home run. And we have a whole system set up. But I don't know who would win. I mean, I can, if I get a piece of a ball, I can hit it pretty good, but I've seen her hit some moonshots. So
yeah, she's hit some nukes too. So yeah. I'm sure I'd love to watch you guys play in the backyard. I'm sure that was so much fun growing up. You probably had some crazy rolls like we all did growing up, you know what I mean? Past the tree or over the wires or whatever's a home run, whatever the case may be. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. Going back to football, Max, what is the thing that you love most about playing?
Oh, I love the intensity of it. I mean, there's never any standing around. And then you just have such a great team bond and brotherhood. It really just can't be replicated or matched by any other sport. There's no sport where you go out and you practice all week long and you prep and you get to play one time. And then that setting and the atmosphere is just incredible. And to be there with like your brothers that's my favorite by far.
When you're not on the football field or in the classroom, what do you enjoy doing?
I don't know. I get outside a lot. A few of the football boys took me out last year for my first time. We went hunting, and then I do a lot of fishing, and obviously I work a good bit. And basically anything outdoors, I get into.
How about your favorite sports movie?
I don't know. Blindside's good, but I love Cool Runnings.
Cool Runnings. Oh, Cool man, Runnings. I love it. We asked so many people their favorite. I don't think anyone's ever said Cool Runnings, but I love that movie.
It's awesome, hey.
Jamaica has a bobsled team.
That's right.
I'll have to watch that now that you mentioned it. I haven't seen it for a long time.
That's
how about your favorite subject in school?
I like math.
Okay.
I like math. Writing's all right, and chemistry's hard, but math I just seem to usually pick it up pretty good.
Well, you're a better man than me, Max. That was not my favorite subject, but I'm glad it's yours. If you won $1 million, what would be the first thing that you would buy?
I don't know. I'd love to give back to the community, obviously, and help people in need. But if I had to choose one thing, it'd probably be a zero turn.
Now, what is a zero turn for anyone?
Like one of those sweet lawnmowers.
Yeah. Okay.
I like mowing grass, but we have like this, just a riding mower. But
yeah,
I've always wanted the zero turn. It's almost like a lifelong dream.
All right, I like it. Let's look ahead at Mount Pleasant. You guys play the Vikings this week. Obviously, another big game at home. Kind of what do you see that they like to do? Kind of give us a scouting report from your eyes, and what do you need to do to get a win?
Well, they have a very similar offense as us.
Mm-hmm.
We run a wider fullback set where they run the tight end, obviously, but we see a lot of the same things, a lot of tendencies we can pick up, and film comes into it a lot. We're having a big film session tomorrow as a team, in addition to all the stuff we watch individually, just to solidify our reads and everything. So we have a good game plan.
Max, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Coming from another Derry alum, you're Derry through and through, man. You like hunting, fishing, getting outside. You want a zero-turn mower with $1 million, the first thing you buy. So, hey, and worked on a farm in the summer. So you're a Trojan through and through, and love to see you having success. Good luck on Friday, all right?
All right, thanks a lot.
That is Max Doherty from the Derry area Trojans, our Week 7 Westmoreland Sports Network Player of the Week. Sean and I will rejoin you as we take a look at Week 8 games, including Derry and Mount Pleasant, right here on Westmoreland on the
I am the swiftest creature alive. I can make it. I will make it.
That's where we come in. The Collision Shop by Jason Mignon is your one-stop shop for all things auto body repair. Our experienced technicians and state-of-the-art facilities have you covered. Body repairs, refinishing, glass replacement, and more. Our friendly office staff is happy to assist you through every step of your vehicle's repair process. Visit thecollisionshopbyjason.com for our complete list of services.
Whether you're just stopping in for a drink at the bar or having lunch or dinner, give one of D'Annunzio's seasonal drink specials a try. Our refreshing house-made sangria comes in 3 flavors, red, white, and peach. We have local craft beers on tap as well. Plus, D'Annunzio's offers our very own private label wine. We have Chardonnay, White Zinfandel, Pinot Grigio, Moscato, Cabernet, Merlot, Pinot Noir, and Champagne at D'Annunzio's.
Back here for one final segment, Westmoreland on the Gridiron. We appreciate both Scott Breyer and Max Doherty for joining us. And Flick, now let's look ahead at the penultimate week of the regular season. That means second to last.
These are binoculars, by the way.
You're looking ahead. Yes, I use my binoculars a lot. You know that.
You do. Yeah.
They don't always help enough. At least
that's because they're not Jack Ridenhour's binoculars. But
well, he could see like 2 states away using those things.
I know.
All right, so week 8, there's some big ones here on the horizon, including Cannon McMillan at Norwin. We talked about, kind of the picture in 6A. I think if you're Norwin, you feel very good about where you're at, but you need to win this game. And Cannon McMillan, that's a team they probably should beat, but just look at what happened with Hempfield area. They should have beaten Seneca Valley based on the record. So a big opportunity for Norwin. I think if the Knights win this one, they're pretty much in. I don't know if it would be official or not, but for them, they've been playing really well all season. It feels like they have to have this game. They cannot afford a slip up because Cannon McMillan would leapfrog the Knights in the standings, and then you start to really sweat it out, potentially heading into week 9.
Much like Hempfield, man, I mean, Norwin has an outstanding opportunity. You finish in third place, you're going to play a team in North Allegheny in the first round of the playoffs, or, well, whatever it is, quarterfinal round, I guess, or semifinal. Wait a second, semifinal round. Hello.
Yeah.
The first game of the playoffs, you're going to play a team that you nearly knocked off and you felt you should have beaten in the regular season. So you're going to get another chance at them. But first, you got to take care of your own business. So they have a great opportunity, much like Hempfield did last week. Certainly hope that Norwin doesn't kind of drop the ball, this week. But yeah, I mean, going up against Cannon McMillan team, also playing for, its playoff lives, and, a team that, was able to score, a number of points against Hempfield. So should be a good game on Friday.
Yeah, just looking at the quick math on this, I think that would basically clinch it for Norwin. Now, they still have a Mount Lebanon matchup, but that's the final week of the season. That one could be a big one as well. Knights win this game. I feel pretty confident saying they're going to be in the postseason. Armstrong at Penn Trafford, I will have the call of that one. Warriors, again, they pretty clearly look like they're one of the better teams out of the Big East. The question is, can they get a really good playoff berth and seed? And a win against Armstrong would certainly help that. Riverhawks need a bounce back. They are now 2-2 after that tough loss against Dairy Area. This one will have a lot of eyes on it. In Class 3A Interstate Conference play, 7-1 Elizabeth Forward, a perfect 3-0 in the conference at Southmoreland and Russ Grimm Field. The Scotties 8-0, 3-0 in the conference. Flick, this is a big fight feel to it, and I think it's fair to say EF probably should be favored, but Southmoreland on its home field, no one's beaten them this season. They should feel very confident in their own right. Ryan Messina is one of the best quarterbacks in the WPIAL, so they're going to have to try to slow him down. And then the question is, can the Scotties get enough offense? But these are the types of matchups that, I think everyone, whether they're a fan of Southmoreland, Elizabeth Forward, or just high school football, they're going to have an eye on that scoreboard on Friday.
Yeah, last week, again, the atmosphere was ridiculous. And I know it's not two local teams that, only have 10 minutes separating them, but it's this is for the conference. This right here,
and there's
this
some
is
good tie-ins.
One of the biggest games. Yeah. Coach DeMarco was an assistant. Now, of course, the current head coach, Elizabeth Forward, John DeMarco, he was an assistant under Tim Bukowski at Southmoreland just a couple of years ago. So there's definitely a tie-in there. But you mentioned Messina, man. He is so good. I think Southmoreland is going to have to get even more pressure than they usually do. That's one of their biggest calling cards. They get pressure on the opposing quarterback. They do a great job of that. I think they're going to have to step up their game a little bit more. They're probably going to have to force maybe a turnover or two. It'll be a test, certainly the biggest test for Southmoreland's defense. And you mentioned the offense is going to have to do a little bit more than they've been doing, because I think EF's, I'm not saying they're going to score a lot, but they're probably going to score more than other teams that they have faced, that Southmoreland has faced, even though their defense is really good. So I think their offense is going to have to do something a little bit more than what they've been doing. I think they have the potential to do that. We'll see if they can against just a great Elizabeth Forward team.
Well, in that same conference, this is a big one as well. Mount Pleasant area coming off of that loss against the Scotties, 5-3, but 2-1 in the conference. They're going against the Dairy Area Trojans, who are 1-2 in the conference, 4-4 overall. Again, for those that are interested in the postseason and how it's determined, 3 teams would be getting in at least from there. So you want to finish top 3 in the interstate conference. And so that matchup probably determines the third place team, because it looks like Southmoreland, EF are going to be 1-2 in some order, depending on what happens. Greensburg, Salem, and York both winless. They're kind of getting close to being out of it altogether. So Mount Pleasant, Dairy Area is probably for third place potentially in the conference. And if you get third, you're headed to the postseason. If you finish in fourth, you kind of hope and pray that things fall in your favor.
And of course, Sean, one thing we didn't mention when we were talking about the game, Aiden Piper, I have no idea what his status is. He was stretchered off at field.
I think it was
Friday.
An optimistic update, but I don't know if that means he's going to be playing anytime
That's the thing. Yeah, Coach Mike Arone said he's doing okay. It's just I don't know if that means he's out for the season. If he plays this week, next week, I'm not sure. So we'll find that out, I guess, closer to game time.
Yeah, and he is a massive body. He can't really replace that type of size, and he's been a guy that they've counted on for quite a while. Hempfield area at Mount Lebanon. That is a must-win game, certainly for the Spartans. That is their final conference game of 2025. Franklin Regional makes the trek to the Wolverine to play Woodland Hills. 0-4 Panthers against the 4-0 Wolverines in conference play. Gateway at Greater Latrobe, two teams that are also struggling this year in that same conference. Ringgold at Bell Vernon area. A massive game. And that's something that Scott Breyer said. He didn't want to, basically guarantee that if they win out, they'd be in the playoffs because he knows that it's out of their hands. But I feel like they'd have a heck of an argument if they beat Ringgold and then beat Trinity, that they're peaking at the right time. That would be 3 straight wins to finish the season. They had all those close losses to some heavyweights. So it feels like for the Leopards, they win this game, they at least give themselves a chance heading into the final week of the regular season. York at Greensburg Salem, two teams looking for their first conference win. They each have 2-6 marks on the year. Burrell with the unenviable task of playing against Amani Christian Academy. Amani Christian is another undefeated team. The Saints are 8-0. That matchup will take place in Wilkinsburg. Deer Lakes at Valley. Vikings looking to snap their long losing streak. Might be an opportunity. Deer Lakes is just 1-7 on the season, 0-4 in conference play. Ligonier Valley at Steel Valley. The Rams looking for their first conference win as well. Jeanette at Springdale. New stadium for the Dynamos, but the Jayhawks certainly heavy favorites in that one. Springdale is 0-6 on the season. This is a key matchup. Fraser at Greensburg Central Catholic. Commodores are 2-3. GCC is 2-2. And so you look at that game and you say, if the Centurions lose that game, they might, and by the way, I want to correct that. Both teams are 2-3 now in conference play. If the Centurions lose that game, I don't know that they get into the playoffs. Every team except Springdale is going to have 2 wins in that conference. So that would be just a crushing loss. But the Commodores are playing pretty good. We mentioned that they have a victory over Riverview, so don't take them lightly if you're the Centurions and JT. And Bishop Canavan at Monessen, Kiski area in a non-conference game at Plum to wrap up the high school slate. And then on Saturday, college football, Gannon at Seton Hill. It is the Griffins' homecoming, 2:00 kickoff. We will have video coverage of that. And not far from there in Latrobe, or specifically, I guess, Unity Township, Washington and Jefferson at St. Vincent. The Bearcats 2-4 and the Presidents 3-2 overall. Well, Flick, there's a lot of big games. You have maybe the biggest one that you're broadcasting. We mentioned EF at Southmoreland. I'll be at Penn Trafford, but you're really
Penn
now.
Trafford.
Yeah, well, John Rowane's watching right now. He disagrees with that assessment. You're really now to the point. I know that years ago, Don Rebel called this the stretch run, your final 3 weeks of the regular season, because it really magnifies every single game. There's not many games that we mentioned on the schedule that won't have postseason implications in some regard. And that really kind of comes to the forefront now that you could see the light at the end of the tunnel, which makes it even more interesting. These are some fun matchups, even if nothing's on the line. But when you factor in postseason aspirations, maybe a clinching opportunity or a back against the wall must win to get in type of situation, like some of our teams face, it just adds even more stakes to these games.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We talked about what's on the line for, Norwin trying to clinch that third place spot, Hempfield trying to clinch a playoff spot. Even someone like Bell Vernon looking to win, another conference game after finally, getting that first conference victory after playing so many close games. Greensburg Central Catholic trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. And I know we just talked about all this, but, Darien Mount Pleasant, obviously a lot on the line there. And Southmoreland, Elizabeth Forward, a ton on the line there with first place, in the conference. Not just first place, but, Southmoreland maybe. I mean, hey, they haven't won a playoff game ever. So, if they win this game, it's one of their biggest wins probably in program history. So,
what else is massive about it? If they were to win, they get a great seed, which would set them up perfectly for that first postseason win. Because you don't want to be in one of those, like 8, 9, 7, 10 matchups, right? You want to get a really good seed. And if they win this game, I mean, they might be thinking like they're not going to get the number 1 seed probably, but maybe they get a 2 or 3 seed. And then you're playing, one of the last teams to make it into the postseason. So the difference between a win and loss, even if you're going to get to the playoffs either way, could be, 3 or 4 spots in terms of the seeding.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now, is this the time where you say, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Is there anything else you would like to add?
You threw me off. You didn't say it, and I actually have something to add this time. Am I allowed to now? Okay.
Yes, you are.
I want to give a huge happy birthday out to my daughter, Lily, who is 1 year old today, turns 1 year old, yes, today. She's not as big of a fan as Sean as Landon is, my son, because every time he sees your face, Sean, and then Daddy.
I can confirm that that's true. Yes.
Yes, it's absolutely 100% true. So happy birthday to her. My mom is also celebrating a birthday on Sunday. So I have to give a shout out to her as well for all that she does behind the scenes.
She's a little bit more than one.
Yeah, but I'm not going to do, I mean, come on, you can't do that, right? Can't divulge that information. I don't want to make her mad. So thank you for allowing me to do this. I actually had something to add today. This was good.
And I will add because you didn't. So
do you know anyone that's having a birthday?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Friday morning, check out the preview articles. Friday night, after all the games are over, we'll recap them. And then, of course, we have different content all throughout the week. And then what's everyone's favorite edition this year? Go on social media. Instagram. It's on Facebook and it's on X. We've got our on-site recaps, or sometimes on-site, sometimes in a driveway. But we try to do it on site of all the games, which to me, like sometimes, you don't want to read an article of every single game. It can be a little time consuming. You get, 45 second to a minute long recaps giving you the high points of those games. I think that's, some really good stuff. If you're not able to watch one of these games in particular, maybe you're not able to attend, you get a, bullet point breakdown of what happened. I think those have been very well received. So check those out each and every Friday.
I must admit, I almost forgot to do it. And then the first time I did it, I nailed it on the first try, except the end. I said Mount Pleasant was playing York next week. And after I stopped, I'm thinking to myself, that's not right. Who are they playing? Who are they? Oh, they're playing Derry. And then I thought maybe I'll just edit it in somehow. And I'm like, no, let me just do it again. So anyway, and then I think I may have had to do it 1 or 2 more times. At the beginning, it just didn't go well. But anyway, we got it to go. People don't need to know what the outtakes look like. And I'll see if I can do another one and not screw up who the teams are playing the following week, this week.
Well, hopefully you have one recapping a good win for one of our Westmoreland County teams. That's going to do it for this edition of Westmoreland on the Gridiron. But of course, you know where to catch us. It's crazy that next week we will be talking about the final week of the regular season. And then, of course, we'll get you ready for the playoffs with our big shows, as always, in the weeks to come. But for now, we will put a bow on this one. For Dan Flickinger, Sean Meyer signing off. It's Westmoreland on the Gridiron, powered by Bowser, right here on the Westmoreland Sports Network.
Good night, everybody. Enjoy the games Friday night.